Hello fellow kaiju fans and kaiju collectors, I'm back for my next review, and as promised I will be doing my review for my recently acquired Godzilla 2002. Now, some of you are wondering, well, why not just pick up the 2003 figure? It's actually, that is the easier figure to find. It's not always the cheapest though. When it came to this figure or buying this suit, I actually was like torn between the Banpresto 2003, or the Bandai 2003. Bandai 2003, the mouth's closed, but at least it's in like a stance like this, like he's just standing. The 2003 Banpresto figure is in a battle pose, but his mouth is open, so it was really kind of trying to decide which one I wanted. This was the option that I went with because, for one, it was the cheapest. I had to, as you guys know, I imported this from Japan, which was actually my first import. I usually don't import the figures. I usually just buy them, like look for an American seller and buy it from there. But I just decided, you know what, this is the cheapest. I am willing to import it. There was no import charge because it was less than $50, I believe, or less than $100. So for at least for where I'm at, there was no import charge, so that was good. So in total, it came out to like $36. It wasn't expensive, but it was a fair amount. But this is my favorite Godzilla suit, so I was willing to spend $50 to $60 just to get a suit, like a figure of the suit. So yeah. Now, where does this differ from the 2003 figure? Because the 2002 figure is significantly more rare than the 2003 figure. This one is specifically based upon against Mechagodzilla, so he doesn't have the chest scar like he does in Tokyo SOS. So that's really the only major difference. It's pretty much the same figure except for the head sculpt. The head sculpt is similar to that of the Banpresto figure. Mouth's open, he's kind of like in a roaring position, or just like the mouth open. But really, there's nothing different. He's like, I believe he's a slightly lighter shade. Now on here he looks black to all you guys, but actually, if you're looking at him in the light that I am, he's kind of like a very dark gray with like some blue hints on him. Which, again, that's fairly close to the suit. It's a little light, but it all depends on like where you're seeing him from in the movie. But yeah, so history of the figure. Well, you guys pretty much know what two movies he was in because I reviewed both of them on this channel. That's Against Mechagodzilla and Tokyo SOS. Like I said, this particular suit is Against Mechagodzilla. But if you really, I don't want to like go into a history with this necessarily. So if you guys want to find out about him, just watch those movies, both of them back to back. After you've watched the original, if you haven't seen that, obviously, which if you haven't seen the original, then why are you watching this video? But, yeah, so, in short, this is actually the second Godzilla, because, like with the Millennium movies, Against Mechagodzilla traces its way only back to the original Godzilla, so when they build Kiryu out of the original Godzilla's bones, we've got this Godzilla. So, with this Godzilla, he's the second one. And because there's the second one, there's a little bit of an incident where Kiryu goes berserk because of Godzilla roaring. It has like this genetic memory that, oh yeah, I was Godzilla, and goes on a rampage. But yeah, so detailing with the figure. Let's see if I can get my camera to focus. Isn't gonna work. Maybe. Maybe not. Alright, I think that's about as good as I'm gonna be able to get it. But yeah, so the scales and the spines are nicely designed. Obviously, with this suit, it kind of went back to Godzilla 2000 spike designs. So you can look at these, and then look at these, and they're very similar. So yeah, there's not much of a difference. It's just the slight hue and like maybe the slight design of it, but everything else is pretty much the same. So yeah, it's very similar in some respects to the 2000 suit. The head's obviously different because of the more I'd say it's more like a classic design. They didn't actually take as many liberties with this design as they did with like 2000. Even though 2000 does look like the classic Godzilla, obviously, like you can tell it's Godzilla. This one to me is just more along the lines of that mainly because of the way like he's designed, the spikes, everything like that. So yeah, the spines are nice. They got like a silverish paint to them. Mine are obviously scuffed because I bought this used, but I was fine with the paint scuffs. Eventually, I might actually go over like all the scuffs on the figure because there's a couple on the claws here, claws on the hand. There's a couple of paint scuffs, I believe, on his head somewhere. There's a couple on his thighs. You see the little gold paint there. So yeah, I may actually get like some acrylic paint eventually and go over all the scuffs on him. But yeah, overall though, like I said, I'm very pleased with the figure. He's fucking massive. Like literally, he is gigantic, and that creates some problems in terms of sizing. But let's flip him around. Yeah, so he's definitely a nicely designed figure. Tail's nicely sculpted as well. I feel like with this figure they could have obviously taken the cheap way out and done like a half tail in a way, like not like half as in like cut his tail down, because this is actually two pieces. It's joined right there. So yeah, he's not a small figure by any means, but they could have obviously gone for something along the lines of this, which would have been very cheap. But like I said, I'm glad that they went the way that they did, made the full-size figure. So, like I said, he's massive. You can see he's like so much taller than my DVDs actually. So, yeah. So on to sizing. Now, comparing him with the Godzilla 2000 figure that I just had out. Let me get this positioned right. Yeah. I believe he clocks in at around 8 inches, 8.5, something like that. And 2000, I believe, is your standard 6 inches. He may be a little taller because of the spines, but this is the Bandai Creations 2000, which eventually I will get around to reviewing, even though there's like a million reviews of both Bandai Japan and Creations out there. But yeah, he is massive, and to make matters even worse, compare him with my Ultraman 500 Ultraman. Yeah. Definitely not going to work. Although, this probably would be a little bit closer to sizing. I'd have to see what Ultraman actually is and what this Godzilla is supposed to be. I used to know what the KiryuGoji was, but I can't remember exactly. So obviously, he's not going to scale up well with really any other figures, unless you get like maybe one of the 12-inch NECA figures, or not one of the 12, like one of the taller NECA figures. He won't scale up well with the 2014 Godzilla, obviously, because it's only a 6-inch that I've got. And even still, like they don't make like an intermediate size 8-inch figure like most. Like Bandai kind of went weird with this and decided they were gonna like make some large size, because they probably could have gotten away with like a 6-inch figure. It wouldn't have looked as good as this. Which, if you talk to some people, they don't like it, but, yeah. So, the only way you're really going to get a good sizing out of it is if you buy the Banpresto Kiryu or the Bandai Kiryu from the exact same line as this guy. Because I think you can get a whole bunch of other, like, Kiryu figures, but they all vary as far as, like, height goes. You can get the drill hand, but I think he's only 6 inches. So, yeah, and one thing I forgot to talk about with the sculpting was, if you can see, I don't know how well my camera's going to focus. Yeah, the bottom row are individually sculpted, but the top row are kind of like one long row. And you got the gold eyes, obviously, the ears, all the good stuff. But, yeah, so sizing's not the best. Let's see if this thing will not, okay, there we go. Couldn't get it to focus. So yeah, sizing's not the best, but with this figure, especially since this is one of my bucket list Godzilla figures, I after I bought him, all I'm looking for now is really 1974, and then I'm cleared for the rest of the figures I need. But articulation wise, he's got your basic Godzilla articulation. Head rotates 360. I'm obviously not going to rotate it 360. The arms will fold in and out. Most of the figures, I believe, like from this design, there's very few that I've actually seen really that have like full 360 rotation. Because I mean, even looking at 2000, the arms fold in and out. There's not as many as you think that have full arm rotation, but like my Bandai Creations 95 Burning Godzilla, arms fold in and out. 68, 2004, 2000, they all fold in and out. So it's your basic Godzilla articulation. Legs obviously can go 360, but they'll probably get in the way with the arms. And the tail will go 360. I have not tried to move that joint, because that will probably be a pain in the ass if it pops off. And it'll probably wind up coming loose, so I just prefer to keep him like this, maybe the arms out a little bit, but not too much. So, overall, the figure is definitely worthwhile, especially if you're a big fan of this suit like I am. So I was crazy happy to have bought this, because like I said, it's my favorite Godzilla design. The KiryuGoji, I love the look to it. It's not like... It goes back to the original Godzilla design slightly, but it kind of modernizes it. Gives you like a happy, fresh take on it. So, yeah, like I said, I was really happy to have bought this, especially for the price that I did. That's why I said I was willing to overlook the scuffs and the paint issues just for the sake of it being that not only was this a fairly rare figure, but also that it was my favorite suit. So, overall, I'm going to give the figure, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Like I said, there's certain things with it, like the sizing issue, that's a little bit of a problem for me. And just some of the, like the slightly lighter shading on it, but it's really nothing to gripe about. It's still a fantastic figure, and I was super happy to have bought it. But yeah, and it's, like I said, it's just really like minor stuff. And really the only thing that kind of keeps it from being a 5 out of 5 is the scaling. I don't even know why I said about the shading, because really the shading isn't that much of an issue. So, yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and look out for my next review coming soon. See ya.